YouTube.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. This is an extraordinary council meeting for Monday, the 28th of September at 6:30. Welcome to the meeting. Please ensure your mobile phones are switched off. There's a lot of clicking there and they all went off. Councillors, when indicate they want to speak on an agenda item, please can use the blue hand facility in Zoom. Item 1, declarations of interest. Are there declarations of interest? Donal Rush?
Nobody's indicating. Mayor.
Right, okay. I think there's some which are not really declarations of interest, they're just interested. Members tonight who have apologies for absent. I've got 3. Councillor Chunga, Davenport and Walker. Any more? I've got 43 participants at the moment. I think that works out about right, doesn't it? 3 minus.
Councillor Smith is indicating to speak, Mr. Mayor.
Righto.
Also, apologies for lateness from Councillor Chowdhury.
Righto. And congratulations being the new whip.
Thank you.
No members of the public registered to speak. That's a change, isn't it? Item 4, realignment of the Revenue and Benefits Service. I call on Councillor Eldred to propose the item. You have 5 minutes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, everybody, for attending this evening. It's urgent that we get this one put through this evening so things can move forward quickly. The paper asks the council to approve realignment of the Revs and Bens service. This is required as a result of the demise of the core LGSS service by Cambridgeshire, Northamptonshire and Milton Keynes Council. Cabinet approved the request to bring this forward last week, during which a number of questions and concerns were raised, the key one being around the staff. Now, as I said on Wednesday, our staff are our key to our business, and without them and out their knowledge around the Revs and Bens service, it would never move and run as good as it really does. I mean, I've said before, and I'll say it again tonight, we've probably got the best team in the county when it comes to Revs and Bens, and I'm privileged to actually be the cabinet member for that area, and I really like to thank the staff for all their hard work they've done, especially over the last 7 to 8 months when it's been a difficult time for all the staff, but in particular my area where they've been working 7 days a week to make sure everything's done, make sure people have been paid, and any issues of concern have been addressed. So I want to put that one on record, Chair, Mr. Mayor, while I'm on the subject. But again, they are the life and bread of this council, and they look after the most vulnerable people in the county, in the borough, and hopefully, reading this tonight, their jobs will be fine going forward, and they'll move into the new West Northampton. They actually work for LGSS at the moment, not Northampton Borough Council, but they feel part of the team and they feel part of MBC, and that's what we always wanted. So on that part then, the staff directly support us, normally reside on the 3rd floor. They will not 2P to MKC, which has been a bit of a rumour. They will in due course 2P over to the new West Northampton Council as and when they're to do so. The proposed way forward is to adopt a lead authority model, which is being used for several services previously delivered by LGSS. The timing is driven by 3 owning authorities to complete their consultation and enact changes with their own employees. To reiterate, this change will not see any change to our service. The staff employed via NCC will not 2P to MK, which I've said already. They will not in due course they will in due course 2P to the West Northampton Council. There will be no changes to the controls MBC exercise over policy, approaches, discounts, etc. The same staff will continue to deliver the same excellent service they already do. The main changes is to the head of Revs and Bens. That we share with MKC, Milton Keynes City Council, and the client council, Horsham. Will report on a day-to-day basis to the Section 151 officer at MK. and not Managing Director of LGSS. This report provides the necessary delegation to the Chief Executive in conjunction with myself and the leader and my Cabinet colleagues with portfolio responsibility for this area. I therefore submit the report recommendations 2.1 and 2.2, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Nunn to second the item. 3
Thank you.
minutes, Councillor Nunn.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm happy to second the item, but I'd like to reserve my right to speak if the debate goes that way, please. Thank you.
Thank you. I've had a request from a councillor for the 3 minutes time for leaders of the groups to be extended. Is that agreed?
Yeah, I'm okay with that, Chair.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, you have 3 councillors indicating to speak. Councillor Danielle Stone, Councillor Sally Beardsworth and Councillor Jane Birch.
Is that all at the moment?
Oh, and also Councillor Emma Roberts has just indicated as well.
Danielle Stone, councillor?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
It's a pleasure.
Before I begin, I'd like to thank our monitoring officer for ensuring that we had this meeting and for ensuring that members received all the information and were given the opportunity to debate and vote on the proposals in front of us. I think it's really important to note that he acted to protect the democracy of what is still a sovereign council. So I think that's really important. I'd also like to thank the 151 officer for the way he has tried to look after the staff. I think it might not work in the end, but he has made valiant efforts to make sure that our staff are being looked after, and I'd like to thank him for that. However, what I'm going to say is this: my group will not be supporting the proposals, and I'd really like to explain why and to be really understood, because I think what we are about is protecting the interests of Northampton. We feel bounced, I have to say. You know, this is a decision in a time scale that was none of our choosing. None of us, including the administration, wouldn't choose to start from here, would we, in making a decision like this. We passed a motion, you'll all remember it, cross-party support for a unitary Northampton. The government thought it knew better than any of us and has bounced us into a West North Hants unitary. Now, Northampton has got a population of 230,000 people. Do you know how many are in Daventry and South North Hants? Much, much less. It's about just under 85,000 for Daventry and just under 93,000 for South North Hants. So one would think that the government in its wisdom would recognise that Northampton is going to be providing around 80% of the budget for West North Hants and will certainly have around 80% of the service need. You would think they would put Northampton in the driving seat of this new authority, but they haven't, have they? We've been bounced again, and we've had a leader for West North Hants shadow imposed upon us. It makes me worried about how we safeguard the interests of Northampton. So my group and I are feeling disregarded and silenced, and we think we need to do something about that. So if I turn to the proposition in front of us, you may also remember that many years ago now, Councillor Marriott and I challenged the wisdom of the borough becoming a client, not a joint owner, a client of LGSS. We were right to do that, weren't we? Because LGSS is a failed experiment. To add to that folly, NBC agreed to put one of our gold standard services, Revs and Bens, into LGS. They gave it away. Councillor Marriott and I cautioned against that too, and we were ignored. So now we have the most ridiculous situation where we are clients of our own service. And instead of Northampton being identified as a lead authority for Rebs and Bens, it's going to Milton Keynes, an authority that sits outside of West Northants. You tell me how that makes any sense at all. We're being bounced, and I want to know why. We were bounced into West Northants, we were bounced into having a government imposed leader, now we're being bounced into accepting Milton Keynes as the lead authority for Rebs and Bens. To make all of that worse, we're even being bounced into making a decision tonight, because the decision has got to be made by the 1st of October. Who decided that? Northampton Borough didn't decide that timescale. We weren't part of the planning for that. It was a surprise to everybody. We are being bounced. We are not supporting this proposal because I think we need to send a message to West Northants Shadow Administration that Northampton people are proud people. We do a lot, we pay a lot, and we want a lot, and we will not go on being bounced. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Sally Beardsworth.
Thank you, Chair.
You have 5 minutes.
Thank you very much. I don't think I probably need to take that long, but to say I'm disappointed for the staff. Our staff have been excellent in Rebs and Bens for many, many years. And it just seems a shame to me that they are being tupied across to the new unitary with no assurance that they're going to keep their jobs. And that, to me, out of all the loyalty that they've shown this administration and the council and the wonderful work that they've done, it's a shame. It really is a shame. I really do feel as though Northampton is being treated like a second-class citizen, that the new authority, in its infinite wisdom, is so terrified of the size of Northampton that they're doing everything in its power to take away our power. And our power, I can understand if Rebs and Bens is going to Milton Keynes as a temporary measure while this authority gets set up. But I really do doubt that. I feel very, very strongly that we are being treated like second-class citizens in Northampton, and this administration needs to fight harder to make sure that Northampton people get their voice heard. I really feel a lot. I'm not going to vote on this tonight. I shall abstain because I really feel that this has been rushed through, and I really worry for the safety of our staff and their jobs. And after the loyalty they've shown us over the years and the excellent work that they've done, I think they deserve better. So though I echo a lot of what the Labour people are saying, I'm really saying that as long as it is temporary, then it will only be not too much of a problem. But I really feel that we are being sold down the river by Daventry and South Northants, and I really worry about that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Sally. Councillor Jane Birch.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Right.
I think we've had some very powerful reasons for feeling anxious and concerned about this move. And as far as I see it, if this is part of the transformation of services as we move to a unitary authority, it is not well done. It's not the way we'd want to see it done. It's not the way that we would want our services and our staff to be treated. And this is not the time to create and add to the uncertainty amongst our staff who do deliver a first-class service to the residents of Northampton. This is a stopgap measure to secure the continued delivery of a crucial and very complex service. The council tax harmonisation and CTRS alignment between the three West Northants authorities will be agreed over a period of time. And meanwhile, this proposal will protect the efficient billing and correct levels of charges to our residents. I understand that, and we need to preserve that. But why has it happened like this to start with? And as we move forward to the negotiations over this lead authority that's going to be moving forward with the delivery of this service, we would very much hope that the Chief Executive Administration finalise the governments and agreements and protect the staff and retain the really, really strong culture of customer focus and efficiency that our staff have. We've heard about their loyalty, we've heard about the way that they work to protect and deliver an amazing service to some of our very vulnerable customers who need their expertise and need their guidance. And I've often heard members of that department say, we know the people who can't pay, we know the people who won't pay, and we really work hard to work with people who are in difficulty to find a way through the financial problems that they're facing. And it's that level of commitment and understanding of people's position that I'm always impressed by. And we need to value those people because, they go over and above at every point. So please, as you move forward doing all these agreements and over the governance, the lead authority, protect those people, look after them, and make sure that they understand how much they are appreciated by not only us, but all the residents of Northampton that they serve. Thank you.
Thanks, Jane. Councillor Emma Roberts.
Thank you, Chair. I really worry who set the timelines on all of this. Everything feels just completely rushed. We shouldn't need an extraordinary meeting to discuss something as important as this because we should have already dealt with it before now. It should have been part of the plans. We've heard at every council meeting from the leader who set out how well the transition's going, report after report on how good things are. But now we're thrown 4 days to go for a decision. It feels like an outsource on top of an outsource. We've got the best team, is what Councillor Eldred said, the best team. Then why didn't we keep them in the first place? And why are we now trying to distance ourselves even further from them? It's a really crucial time, not only to protect them, but to allow them to protect the residents of Northampton. At 4.35 of the proposition, we use words like no need for MBC to consider and our current understanding. That doesn't feel much of a guarantee or that it gives any real assurance to any employee. The document references LGSS demise, but LGSS are referenced all over the West Northants blueprint, which in itself is a huge worry. I feel really disappointed that we're presented with such a decision like this, so close to a deadline, when decisions should have been made much, much sooner.
Thank you, Councillor.
Mr. Mayor, there are 3 further speakers: Councillor Brian Markham, Councillor Dennis Meredith, and Councillor Catherine Russell, and Councillor Jonathan Nunn.
Councillor Brian Markham.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The last 3, I think, maybe 4 speakers have said they are concerned that all this is being rushed and that they don't know what's happening. Surely the biggest concern, of course, is for all our staff, and as speakers have said, they do a great job and they've been very loyal to us over the years. Now, really, I was speaking because I'm hoping that Councillor Eldred or Councillor Nunn, in responding to this debate, can answer some of the points that have been raised by previous speakers. My understanding from Councillor Eldred was that, and I would welcome that, Pat, if what's going to happen, that eventually the Revs and Den staff, and I hope lots of other staff, are going to be brought back in-house by the new West Northants Council. And that I may be wrong, but that was my understanding of Councillor Eldred's report, and my understanding reading the report here. But if I feel I'm wrong, then Yeah, and there are lots of points that before I could vote for it, I hope that Councillor Nunn and Councillor Eldred in particular can answer the previous speakers, because as everybody said, it's a rush report. It's a very, very important decision we make tonight, mainly for our staff, but also for everybody who relies on the work they do on behalf of residents of town, when at time people are going to need those revs and bends, because they might be losing their home, they're losing their job, and so on. So I really am undecided at the moment, and I hope the debate can answer those questions.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Dennis Meredith. 3 minutes, Dennis.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
When this administration took over, before they took over, we used to have finance reports, detailed finance reports presented to the council, and councillors actually knew what was going on. And when this administration become into power, the finance reports were getting smaller and smaller. Under Councillor Eldridge, he doesn't really go into great detail. Some of his speeches he gives are very short, quick, and not explained fully of what is happening. May not be his fault, I don't know. It may just be his way. But as a backbench councillor, I can see what is happening with this council and with the unitary. I was told by the chief executive before the lockdown that it wasn't necessary to have many redundancies. Where he come from, there was very few redundancies. It seems to me from revenue and benefits, being two-pit over like this is going to create redundancies. And I think this is a sad state of affairs for this council. I can't vote. I can't vote for this. To be two-pit over is a worry itself. I was two-pit over a few years ago, and it's a worrying thing for everybody. But with that, people do lose their jobs. It may not happen straight away, but when they reorganise, it happens. And to be running it from Milton Keynes is a travesty, absolutely appalling. Why we can't handle this ourselves. I have seen recently, I've been all to the shadow meetings with the unitary, and I've seen how the Conservatives have trying to run it their own way, not to involve backbench councillors, and just saying, this is what we will do, this is how we will do it, and it's appalling. Mr. Mayor, I say this speech was very, very reluctant because I'm so worried about the future of Northampton. I have to admit, I've seen
20 seconds remaining.
I've seen things happening and it worries me greatly. Being an active councillor and with my residents to see the food banks and how people are struggling. We all seen it. We were given £2,000.
That's 3 minutes, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. I'll end
Thank
there.
you, Dennis. Councillor Catherine Russell.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Hi.
I would like to add my voice to the sentiments and views already expressed and describe how difficult I find it, the comprehension that lies behind the fact that we've had 2 years to sort this problem out, to understand what was needed, and now we've got 4 days to find a solution. I believe that there has been some situations here which could have been avoided, and it's just an awful thought that staff could be on the brunt end of this and end up losing their roles, their jobs as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Councillor Jonathan Nunn.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, there are some enormous decisions for us to take, an enormous amount of work to be done over the coming months. I hope we never feel that we get one that comes at us so quickly in the way that this has. But that's it's quite easy for us to say, isn't it? It's quite easy for us to say. In reality, there is an enormous amount being done that needs to be done over the course of the next few months. But nevertheless, I have enormous respect and certain degree of resonance, to say the least, with the two other party leaders' comments, if not some of the other speakers. We're all bound to be nervous, aren't we? It's a great service. It's a fantastic team. Not only the work they do normally, but the way they turn their hand, as Councillor Eldred said, to the grants during the COVID business grants. And of course, they serve our most vulnerable people. But these staff will come back to the West, and this is not redundancy. It is a temporary measure. To put it bluntly, LGSS is dissolving. As a consequence, in my view, the best way to ensure that we get the continuity of service is to go along with this. But I would agree, we don't ever want to see a decision that we feel in any way has been foisted upon us, and I suspect that will be reflected in this evening's voting. I think my group, I trust, will be supporting this. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor,
Thank you, Councillor Nunn.
Councillor Phil Larratt is indicating to speak.
You're on now, Councillor Larratt.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can I first of all say that I think we've got wonderful staff delivering a fantastic first-class service, and it's service that this is all about. Revs and Ben's staff service the most vulnerable in our community. Mr. Mayor, I remember back in 2003 when I became leader of the council, the biggest problem we had was revenues and benefits. We had people's claims for benefits being hidden in drawers. We've even found some that had sent in change of circumstances 18 months previously, locked away and hadn't been addressed. Mr. Mayor, we turned the service around. We brought it to more or less to where it is, and then we took it into LGSS. We took it into LGSS because we had a lot to offer. Norwich was in significant problems with its revenues and benefits, and we worked with Norwich, and we turned Norwich around, or with the assistance of our staff, our understanding and our manager. Mr. Mayor, at the end of the day, this is all about delivering a quality service. We've got the right staff, we've got the right manager in Milton Keynes, who's been working with us for years, and I think he's an expert that we wouldn't want to lose as running our Revs and Bens. I think we've really got to think about the service. Yes, going forward, and it's something that West Northamptonshire will have to wrestle with, something that it will have to deal with to bring it together across the 3 districts and boroughs. But that's for the future. In the meantime, we've got to ensure that we continue to provide the service we're providing. Our own, the staff being based in our office, working as a team, Northampton. And I think that's what's important. I think this temporary measure, as the leader has said, and I'm sure Councillor Eldred will reiterate that going forward, but we really do need to ensure consistency, maintain the staff that we've got to continue to provide this service to the people of Northampton, the most vulnerable in Northampton. I think we should just support this tonight and then look to the future within West Northants to ensure that the people of Northampton get the best possible service. I agree with a lot of what members have said tonight, but I'm just concerned that we take the right decision to move forward quickly today to ensure the continuance of this quality service for our residents. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. I'll call on Councillor Eldred as the mover, who has the right to reply. Councillor Eldred.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you to everybody who's contributed to tonight's paper. To be honest, I agree with most of everything that everybody said. To be honest, I mean, our priority was always our staff. As I said before, that I do believe they are the best in the county, and I'll put my hand up and say that is true. And all credit to our monitoring office, Francis Fernandez and Stuart McGregor, for doing all the work behind the scenes to make sure our staff's jobs are secure going forward. Nobody's losing their job at this time. obviously, I don't know what's going to happen in the new unitary. Hopefully, I'll be on it, and then I'll be able to vote in favour for our staff in Northampton. But if not, then hopefully everybody who's on here tonight who does win a seat continues that and make sure they continue to support our staff in Northampton, because they are the best around. And as Councillor Larratt has already mentioned, we were the ones in Northampton that helped Norwich out to get them back on the right track. So I think concerns around his staff, I think our monitoring officer and our section 151 officer done a fantastic job to secure our jobs and all the staff in Northampton Borough Council going forward into the new West Northamptonshire Council. So the jobs are there for our people at the moment. Obviously, I don't know what's around the corner, but I would hope that everybody sitting here tonight on the Zoom meeting will be there to support our staff going forward as and when, if any of us are elected onto the new council going forward in the future years. So I do echo your concerns. I totally agree with most of the things that I've said tonight. And, you know, the staff are that they are the rock for the borough council, and we need to make sure we support them as best we can and make sure their job's secure for the future. So on that note, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to recommend the recommendations 2.1 to 2.2, and hopefully everybody will support this. There is a divorce settlement after 18 months, which we can change things. Hopefully in that time we'll be able to work our magic in Northampton to show them what we can do, and I'm sure the staff will do that. No questions at all, and hopefully we'll be the ones in Northampton showing the way for the new councils coming up.
Thank you, Councillor Eldred. It'll now be put to the vote. We're voting as West Northants do, and the box will come up on your computer and you have 30 seconds to vote. Don't forget to press the button at the bottom. Thank you, Tracy. Remember, this is the first time our democratic services have done this.
Mr. Mayor, the results are in. We have 17 votes for, 6 votes against, and 11 votes abstaining.
Thank you. So the motion is agreed. Thank you. Thank you for the attendance. The meeting is now closed. Good attendance tonight. It's nice to see. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you.